So instead of doing the mid-year freakout tag, I wanted to just do a reflection, a check-in, so to speak. And I wanted to think, what would that look like for myself? Because it's been a weird reading year. I think it's been a weird reading year for a lot of people. And everyone has their own reasons. Like, I know some people it's world-related. Mine's a little more personal. Yeah, it's been a weird couple months. But it's also, like, I'm glad I did this where I, like, actually went through my reflection to see how the year looks. Because it is better than I thought. I have, like, this recency bias of it's bad. So, what I did is I went through my storygraph. I've read about 53-ish books in the first 6 months of the year. And each month I went through and I went, what were my highlights, what were my lowlights? And that's what we're going to go through. And then at the very end, I will try to commit to my best book, my best new release, and maybe try and hash out a plan for the second half of this year. Because it's been a weird year. All right, so let's start with highlights from January, a century ago, so to speak. And I think the first book I read that year, this year, is Paladin of Souls. Can you tell? I've been teaching a lot today. So Paladin of Souls is the second book in the World of the Fifth God books. It follows Ista, who is a side character in The Curse of Chalion, and it's fantastic. This was a fantastic read. I vividly remember reading this while shoveling, like the audiobook. Ista is so funny. Like, you want to follow a 40-year-old protagonist who is going through the midlife crisis of what do I do with my life now? My daughter is settled. I don't have this burden that I used to have. People keep treating me like I'm the same old person, but I'm a new person. I want to do things. If you like Cordelia and the Verkosigan saga, treat yourself to meeting Ista, because she's great. She's different, but she's great. And the way that the gods interfere in this world is so fun and funny. And Lois McMaster Bejeweled is just always delight. Okay? My other hit was City of Others. This is a new release by Jared Poon. It's the start of probably like an urban fantasy adjacent series. It takes place in Singapore. I love the setting. I love the team dynamics. I love that our main character's like superpower has to do with like this internal garden, and he's like really good at organization and being like, I don't know, just good at the bureaucracy of his job. I really enjoyed this. So if you like Eldritch Horror adjacent, you want some different type of urban fantasy creatures, if you want a team dynamic, like it felt like a really good episode or pilot of like a TV show like Fringe or something like that. Like, it's not quite as dramatic as Fringe, but like I would watch a TV show with these people. Like, that's what I would do. I would get my parasocial relationship. I'd want my 23 episodes a season. That's what I'd want with these people. So those are my highlights. My low light, and it's a hot take, but please don't come for me. Like, low light doesn't mean 2 stars. It just means I didn't enjoy this experience. And that was The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. It just, I don't know. I think it's a book I appreciate because it obviously exists and is such a source of inspiration for so many authors that I appreciate. So it's very much like, without this book, I don't have X book that I enjoy. Or at least it wouldn't have gotten here on the same path. But it does a lot of stuff that I don't like in older sci-fi, and if you didn't tell me it was by Ursula K. Le Guin, I would have thought it was by a guy because of some of the kind of standard tropes and crutches that male authors used in sci-fi in that time period. Like the motivation of a character having to be tied to them doing something inexplicably wrong in the bedroom, and I'm just like, oh my god, this was unnecessary. And also, just because time has gone by, I have seen this theme, this cultural world building done in a way that is better for my tastes. This exploration of a socialist regime without totalitarian control versus kind of the standard capitalistic democracy that we all live in. And I just don't think it was fleshed out in a way that I agreed with and I found intellectually stimulating. And it's kind of one of those drier Le Guin, so it's not like there was like character work and plot that was really helping me. Like, the main character is pretty dry for my tastes. So that was my low light. February, I was trying to think what's my best month, and I think I have to say February. I didn't know it at the time, but February, it was kicking butt. Had some high highs and some low lows, but it was kicking butt. So starting with my reread of The Mask of Mirrors, which I think I started in January, and at this point I have finished my reread of The Rook and the Rose, and I just love it. I'm a broken record. I've been reading it since 2021. Comfort food, so well crafted, will die on this hill that even if you don't like it, it is solid. It is really good, and if you think it could be your thing, you gotta give it a go. The other one that I have read that is so good is Slow Gods. I think we might be reading this for a book club soon, so maybe I'll get to reread it, and I'm so happy it's at the Ursula K. Le Guin Award in Fiction. I nominated it for that. Not sure if my nomination is what helped, but like I did nominate this, and this was in such stark contrast to The Dispossessed, because this feels like it's doing a lot of what The Dispossessed was doing, but in a way I found engaging. So for me, this was a way more compelling way to tell that story, to do that cultural world building and exploration of different regions. This also kind of had this ticking time bomb kind of plot of, in 100 years, there's this supernova event. What are we going to do? And you have different government systems and planets acting differently. And I just really enjoyed this. This is a stellar piece of science fiction, especially if you like space opera, cultural-focused world building. A la Ursula K. Le Guin, but again, I do think its modern take helps me. Okay? And then another one that I really enjoyed is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I read this in a day. Ryan bought it for me for Valentine's Day, and yeah, I got emotional. The movie is not nearly as emotional as this. I think the media kind of helps with that sort of thing. The panels are stunning. Like, this is some of the prettiest art I've ever gotten to consume in comic books. He bought me the deluxe version. Yeah. And I think Ryan's convinced me. This has a narrative framework that is very cohesive, and the narrator is not Supergirl. It is this young woman that she meets and helps deal with her grief and her need for revenge. And I think that narrative framework is actually, like, really important to tell the story of the legend of Supergirl if we're focusing on this as the source material. So I think the movie was missing on that. I go back and forth on making a movie comic book video, if only because, like, time and effort and how much do I actually have to say. But I really loved this, and I liked the movie. And then another one I really enjoyed was Son of the Morning by Koike Umezi. This was delightful. Basically, if you like romantasy but are tired of, like, all the same tropes over and over and over again, you gotta try this out. I think she does such an impeccable job of getting you in, getting you out. It's steamy, it's over the top, it's dramatic, it's emotional, it's well written. Like, it's a good 350-page book. I had a good time. My lowest low? Is this my lowest low? I don't know. I'll try and pick worst book at the end, too. I haven't done that. But, Future's Edge, a book I was so whelmed to underwhelmed by that I might never pick up a Gareth L. Powell again. Like, I think I was whelmed most of the time. And then I got to the ending, and then I'm like, this sucks. Like, this is actively a bad book. Like, this is not good. It's cliche, it's unoriginal, it does tropes that I find uninspiring. Again, the female character's motivation, while written by a man, is laughable. It's absolutely ludicrous to me. So, I don't know. It's just like, and I could get over that if it was cool. Like, I'm very much if you have some problematic tropes or, you know, trends, sure, are you interesting? Are you a compelling, engaging story? Then we can talk. And this was not, this was not it. My other one, because like I said, February, high highs, low lows. Operation Bounce House. I have no desire to read Dungeon Crawler Carl. Partially because I don't care for the premise of it. Also, it's Audible exclusive, and I have a feeling audiobook is the way to go. And also, like, this was fine, but, like, I can get a sense of how his dialogue works, and, like, I'm good. This wasn't a bad time, but I was underwhelmed. Now, March, it didn't have as high highs or as low lows. I will say it was new release month in terms of my high highs. So my highest high, probably Seasons of Glass and Iron by Amel El Mortar. It's a short story collection. It's super solid. Probably one of the most solid collections I've read in a while. Although right now I'm reading a very solid short story collection. So this is great. Really enjoyed it. It's collected through the year. So this doesn't really have a cohesive theme other than it's her greatest hits mixtape of short works. And I think she's a fantastic short story author. My other one is John Chu, The Subtle Art of Folding Space. First of all, this is still just like maybe my favorite cover of the year. I mean, I love a dumpling. I like the space. I like a lot about this. I think I could have adored it, loved it if it was a little longer. And just like a little bit more fleshed out on its main meta plot. I think its emotional plot was very well done. Because you have this woman who is an engineer of the physics universe and like loses her mother, has a contentious relationship with her sister, has a good relationship with her cousin who has his own baggage, and they're just trying to parse out this conspiracy. And that conspiracy, I think, is what could have been fleshed out a bit. Thematically, I loved its idea, the conspiracy being tied to, we have a world where everyone can help volunteer to maintain the physics of the universe. What happens when that becomes exclusive? Who does that leave out? I really enjoy that as an idea. I just think that needed a little bit more time to cook. That said, I loved John Chu's voice, his sense of place, how his characters interact with each other, so this was still delightful for me. And then my low light, again, not even a bad book. It just was a very, it was a 3 to 4.5 star month. And this is Violetta by Isabel Allende, and I like it. I don't dislike this book, but, Long Petal of the Sea I gave 5 stars. And this, I barely remember what happened, and it's, a very okay historical fiction. It was fine. That's how I feel about this. Which again is just in comparison to my first work by her, it's just womp womp. Alright, so moving on to April. This is where tried and true authors held me strong. So, Liar's Knot, sequel to The Mask of Mirrors. I don't know where my Mask of Mirror copies is. I think it's upstairs. At least my paperback. My hardbacks are always behind me. I love this book. I love this book. I think Mask of Mirrors is still my favorite, but this is so good. There is a chapter in here that every time I get to it, and I've read it 3 times now, I'm just yes! Oh, I'm so ready. And this time, my memory of reading this book is very much tied to how in one day, I single-handedly purchased over 30 bags of mulch and mulched my yard on an early April weekend and finished this book. It was truly a fantastic time. Because it wasn't too hot, I didn't sweat, I got something done that was on my list earlier than normal, truly fantastic. My computer closed, so now we need to open it, and the camera's not working, so I have to type in the pin. Alright, here we are. The next is an Abby Jimenez, The Night We Met. I was nervous, because I didn't Say You'll Remember Me. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I usually love an Abby Jimenez. And this was fantastic. Oh my gosh, I adored it. Read it in a day when I had a cold. It did its job. And this premise is going to be contentious for people. It's about, she is dating this guy's best friend. And it's obvious that he is not Endgame. And that the best friend will be Endgame. But they both feel a certain way about that. They're both ignoring their feelings. Things come to a head. It's very good at getting you to root for the main, end goal very early. And I think it does it really tastefully. I don't think lines are actually crossed. I can just see that being uncomfortable for a lot of people. I adored it. I had a great time. I love yearning, and this type of forbidden romance is season 2 Bridgerton yearning. My low light for April is These Burning Stars. I've talked about this in a couple videos. It's just this series is not singing for me, and I can't figure out why. The content is very, it's this is a good book. This is a well-written book. But it's not it's not connecting with me. And so I find myself fairly bored while I read it, which isn't how you want to be reading any series. So I'll get back to that in a bit, unfortunately. And May is probably my second best reading month of the year. So I had another reread, because this has been a year where I've been letting myself reread. I had Arbor Reality. Love this, read this for my local book club, and I had such a good time. And it was so great seeing a bunch of people also connect with this short, little, connected short story, vignette, climate work. Adore it. My biggest surprise / best book of the whole year so far is Never Home Alone. I love this nonfiction book. I'm obsessed with this nonfiction book. I wish I could go back and reread it. I mean, I can, but for the first time, because I just loved learning it. It was so fun learning the things in this book. As someone who teaches microbiology, I had so much fun. Made me both more and less scared of my environment. So, And then another great hit for me was The Last Contract of Asako, the new Fondali. Like, this is how I knew I was having issues with a different sci-fi book, because, like, this is really similar. A lot of the same tools and tricks and plot points and politics and conspiracies. And this one just sings for me. And like, the only difference is the character work and the writing style, so that must be the disconnect, maybe. This is a plot that shouldn't work for me because this is not my stuff. I'm not an action-forward reader. I don't like a this last job type of work. But it worked for me here. I had a really fantastic time. I think it's a great standalone. Probably leaves the door open if she wants to be in this world more, but this is a great complete arc for Asako. I liked where it ended. I like that it didn't bite off more than it could chew, which maybe will leave some people wanting more, but for me, this was solid. Had a great time. So next up, the lowlights. So again, On Vicious Worlds, the sequel to These Burning Stars. Just in general, the series is like truly disappointing me left and right. Like, it's not bad. I think that if you like political science fiction with plot forward moments and twists and turns, you should give it a go. I am somehow not connecting, and it's not for any obvious reason. So that's a bummer. Another one I read is Pink Slime, and yeah, I mean, I've read lit-fic dystopian sci-fi. This one is, like, truly not doing anything different or that memorable. Maybe the most unique part is our main character is a caregiver to an individual with a unique condition. And it's, like, her guilt over caring for them or wanting to escape. But they have a contentious relationship with their mother and a contentious relationship with her ex-boyfriend. And it's a dystopian where, like, the environment is bad and everyone's claustrophobic and... it's like they're all eating this pink slime, and you never get, I mean, it's definitely one of those where you don't get answers to what's happening. That's not the point. The point is you're responding to what's happening. And I found that response uninspiring, alas. And then June. June is the month where I read 5 books. Easily, you know, I said I was slumping. I was slumping. I was slumping hard. And it's, like, truly... everything I read was like 3.5 to 4 stars. So this is like, it not only was I slumping in terms of amount, we were very much middle of the road. So picking a highlight, picking a low light, very difficult. I decided highlight would be the Andromeda Strain purely because I've had this on my TBR almost 10 years. And I'm so glad I finally read it. I largely was surprised by it, enjoyed it. I had good momentum reading it. Wasn't like my favorite ending. So it waffled on the ending a little bit, but like, again, the microbiologist in me, I'm like, this is cool. Especially the appreciation of like 1969. Like, that's cool stuff. Probably because it was so long and I was so slumpy and like I wanted to love it and like I liked it, but I didn't love it. The Red Winter. Yeah, if you like T. Kingfisher, if you like Chorus of Dragons, I don't want to steer you away from this. You could adore it. I just simply was okay with it. Like, it was fine. It also kind of reminded me of The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. The audiobook's fine. It's a good standalone. I just had this disconnect. I just never connected to it. So those are the highs. Those are the lows. Let's see. The worst book, easily going to be Future's Edge. Easily. I have the most disdain for this book. Other things, I'm like, it's a taste issue. This is actively, like, so, like, you phoned it in. Like, what is this? 304 pages of derivative nothing. Like, truly. No. Best new release. Where did it go? I think I'm going to give that to City of Others. I really like City of Others, and I think it's going to be underappreciated by the masses, and I think it's fantastic. And then my best book, I'm sure everyone's clutching their pearls, are super surprised, but it's Slow Guts. Like, easily. Like, I mean, there's so many things where I'm like, yeah, it's like 4.5 stars. Like, this is 5 stars. I have so few where I'm like, this is 5 stars. And that's this guy. So what's the plan? Life is only going to get weirder for me for a minute, for reasons. And so I think the plan is I want to always want to be reading, whether I have time or not. That means picking the books that make me want to be reading. And so far, I've been doing a good job. This past week or so, I've been doing a good job. I want to be reading the book I'm currently in the middle of. And I currently have a stack of books that make me excited to try them. So I think what I'm going to be seeing for myself the second half of this year is a lot of strong, quick, hard, fast DNFing. A lot of pivoting. I think this is going to be the harder part. DNFing I'm getting better at. Pivoting books when I am suddenly not in the mood for that book, that's hard for me. When I know I want to finish a book, whether I'm in the mood for that book or not, I want to finish it before moving on to the next book. Like, I can have 2 or 3 books going at the same time, but it's tricky for me. It's tricky for me to just, like, if my physical read is X and I want to pick up a new physical read, I feel like I have to finish the first one first, or else it feels like it's hanging over me like a cloud. I think this is the mindset I need to push against the most, because I think I will have more joy if I let myself bounce a bit more. So we'll see. Again, also, just like, I read 55 books so far this year. We're not reading 55 books for the rest of the year. I don't think that's happening. If it does, great. More power to us. I think it's gonna be more like 6 books a month, which is honestly Angela of ye old days, if not less. And that's okay, you know? Just, like, letting that happen, not feeling weird about it, because as long, they don't even have to be 5-star reads, right? As long as I'm reading books that I want to be reading, we're winning. That's how we're measuring it right now. So hopefully that means they're interesting books. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be interesting to talk about. Hopefully there'll be books that also will resonate with you guys, but I think that's where we're at for right now. And, you know, it's not been a bad first half of the year. It's going to be a different second half of the year, I think, you know, and that's okay. Life happens, things pivot. I can just always tell when things are weird, when I have a sharp change in habits like this slump. And also, I've stopped rating books again. Whenever I stop rating books, like, it's not like I even care. It's just like, it's like a sign that I don't have an executive function available. And that's always a warning sign that it's, like, going to be harder for me to push. And that's okay. Don't always have to push. So that's my mid-year reflection. Hopefully that was interesting to you guys going through the months. I found it interesting. It really helped put some things in perspective. Like, I got really excited when I was going through my February. I'm like, oh yeah, I read that, and I read that. Like, it's like, I like the memories of when I read a thing as well. Let me know your highlights or lowlights. Best new release, best new book. If they're the same, please let me know. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here. Let's see. Best book with slow gods. Yeah, I mean, leave something red. I like that. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.